Like, I like Keenan. I'm glad that he's there. The closest we've gotten to stand-up is Barack Obama.
I know.
Honestly.
I know, but
listen,
what a
that
delivery.
guy needs to host the Oscars. That guy. I've been saying it for years.
He does. Anyway, unfortunately, we're up against our deadline. I want to make sure that everybody knows where they can follow our amazing guests. I'm going to start with you, Francesca. It's as if people don't know at this point, but
the Bituation Room podcast. We've got our live show from Chicago out right now. So go listen wherever and subscribe on youtube.com/FrannyFio.
And John?
We are broadcasting live for SiriusXM Progress Channel 127 every night from the Skybox. I feel like I'm calling a hockey game every night. I'm here pre-taping interviews all day and then in the live room at night, and it's crazy beautiful. If you don't have SiriusXM, my show's available as a free podcast every day, the John Fugelsang podcast. And if you want to see the big show from the other night with Mark Hamill and Governor Pritzker, that guy's funny, by the way. His Chris Walken, holy crap. Go to sexyliberal.com and you can download that as well. Awesome. Thanks, John. Thanks, Francesca.
Thank you so much. Great to have you here.
It was a joy. Thank you.
Get a chance to catch up.
Thank you.
And Francesca, thank you as always. Those of you watching, thank you for tuning in as always throughout the DNC. I'm going to be doing live commentary for the speeches here at the desk. Maybe I'll be in the room as well. So tune in for that. For now, though, stay safe out there, stay sane out there, and we'll see you soon.
Welcome. This is Indisputable. I am Sharon Reed alongside Francesca Fiorentini. Never gets old saying that name. There you are. You're
I'm back.
And I love your setup. I love the background. You look wonderful.
Thank you.
But yeah, I love it. Tell us what you're up to before we get into the show. And by the way, we have well, I think the producers, the esteemed producers, are calling it an eclectic mix. So you'll want to stay tuned for all the stories. But what are you working on right now?
Always the best stories on Indisputable. I just got back from Chicago, not for the DNC, but did a great slew of sold out shows, including the live Bituation Room podcast, which was so inspirational. We had a local city council person who is a progressive, who's calling for ceasefire in Gaza. She was amazing, Rosanna Rodriguez. So everybody listen to it if you want some like hopeful leftist ideas for the future. Chicago is doing it right. Brandon Johnson is coming correct, and it's very exciting. So everybody go listen to wherever you get your podcast, The Bituation Room.
Bituation Room is on point, I like to say, because of you, of course. Let's get into it, shall we? You mentioned Chicago, and they are doing things right. But, you know, every event has some second guessing, maybe more. Uncommitted delegates stage sit-in after the DNC nixes speaker. Let's show you footage of this sit-in, more of it.
Our movement has real leaders who are in solidarity with us. I've got Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez on FaceTime here. Congresswoman, you have the floor.
I think it is critically important for us to send this message of shared humanity, and that the request isn't that large. It's important to emphasize that this is not even in any way an irrational thing to ask for. It's a basic thing to ask for. And I want to send a very strong message that we are mobilizing on the outside and to continue mobilizing on the outside, because that is also paired with a very strong inside push.
That's right. That's right. That's right. The Congresswoman is emphasizing that we're mobilizing on the outside because that's also paired with a very strong inside push. Thank you for your leadership, Congresswoman.
Of course, and I want everybody to know that being in the streets is important, and it is also being paired with pressure on the inside.
The Congresswoman is emphasizing what we as uncommitted delegates know, that being in the streets is important, and thankfully our movement is strong and it's being paired with pressure from the inside.
So there you heard it. AOC on the line, talking to these uncommitted delegates. Unity doesn't mean robots. It's not supposed to mean robots, right? Give you more of the story for Jezebel. Wednesday night, as the Democratic National Convention continued, the uncommitted movement announced that after several days of negotiations, both the Harris campaign and DNC denied the request for a Palestinian-American speaker. Per CNN, the group emerged during the Democratic presidential primary to marshal protest votes against the Biden administration's support for Israel, for Israel's war on Hamas in Gaza after the October 7th terrorist attack. This is not going away. Delegates said in a statement, we got word from the DNC that they will not allow a Palestinian-American speaker on the main stage, even though they created space for plenty of others, like a border patrol officer and the family members of an Israeli hostage. The uncommitted delegates specifically asked the Harris campaign and DNC officials to allow Dr. Tanya Haj Hassan to speak and give voice to the Palestinian children she's treated in Gaza. Okay, she's been there. They wanted her to speak. Let's go to Tuesday. Haj Hassan telling reporters about the daily atrocities they face under Israeli bombardment. Palestinians asked only one thing of her: to share what she witnessed with the world, just a firsthand account. Earlier on Wednesday, the uncommitted movement said they provided the Democratic Party with a list of names of potential speakers and stand ready to provide more if needed. There is no reason not to get this done. Jezebel with the reporting again. Then on Wednesday evening at a press conference turned sit-in outside the United Center, Abbas Alaway, delegate, leader of the uncommitted movement, telling reporters that the Harris campaign turned them down. He said, quote, the vice president made a decision, she and her team, and the answer is no. Where's this gonna go? We were hopeful because Vice President Harris's team has been engaging with us. Alloway continued. They've been calling. They've been having conversations. And we told them what our ask is. Jezebel reports this about what's been going on behind the scenes. He stressed that this particular ask for a Palestinian voice on stage doesn't concern a policy change, though they are still very much demanding that. Then they're only asking to be heard. Ahead of the convention, uncommitted delegates pledged to withhold their votes to nominate Kamala Harris until her campaign pledges to back a ceasefire and arms embargo to Israel. So that's the key. As CNN reports, besides the speaking slot, the movement's other asks, like an arms embargo against Israel, were also rejected out of hand by Democratic leaders. Now, Holloway, a veteran Democratic staffer who's worked for both Representatives Rashida Tlaib out of Michigan, Cori Bush, Missouri, stressed that he's tried everything he could working on the inside to move the Democratic Party, speaking to, pleading with members of Congress, delegates, party leaders. After exhausting these options, he declared at the press conference he was staging the sit-in outside the United Center, invited delegates who felt so inclined to join him. I just intend to stay here until I get a call from the DNC telling me that they won't suppress the voices of Palestinian children, that they will accept our very humble request, he said. The sit-in began at around 8:30 p.m. local time. It continued throughout the night. Spokesperson for the Harris campaign now did not immediately respond to requests for comment from Jezebel on the extent of the campaign's involvement in negotiations for a Palestinian speaker or someone who could speak to Palestinians' experiences in Gaza. In a series of impassioned and at times tearful remarks to reporters, Holloway recounted being a child, surviving the bombing during the Lebanon war between Israel and Hezbollah in 2006, before eventually coming to the United States. I could have been one of those children. President Biden, Vice President Harris, we're talking about babies, he said, pointing to the more than 16,000 Palestinian children in Gaza killed by Israeli forces since October. I'm leaning into my lived experience because that experience lends me some level of expertise. I know that our country's policy, sending bombs to kill kids, is wrong because I'm human and also because I've survived those bombs myself. Over the last 10 months, Israeli forces have killed over 40,000 Palestinians in Gaza with significant help from U.S. funding and weapons. Jezebel with the reporting there, the statistics, each one representing a human being. Over a dozen uncommitted delegates have since joined Alloway. More continue to join. Representative Ilhan Omar stopped by after the third night of the convention concluded to express her support and embrace Alloway, who was overcome with emotion. You see it there. Huffington Post now also reporting Lily Greenberg, call on the left, former Biden administration official who resigned over its Gaza policy, also joined delegates and accused the president of weaponizing Jewish identity to justify the war machine. She was the first Jewish American political appointee to resign over the government's policy. First Biden political appointee to resign over Gaza, Tariq Abash on the right, has also been a vocal supporter of the movement. Earlier Wednesday, the Uncommitted movement shared a statement after learning Israeli hostages' families would speak on the main stage that night. We strongly support that decision, the statement said, and also strongly hope that we will also be hearing from Palestinians who've endured the largest civilian death toll since 1948. The delegates said they urged the Democratic Party to reject a hierarchy of human value by ensuring Palestinian voices are heard on the main stage. That statement continued, excluding a Palestinian speaker betrays the party's commitment in our platform to valuing Israelis and Palestinian lives equally. The difficulty in improving even a single Palestinian American speaker among the dozens of speakers on the convention stage sends a troubling message to our anti-war voters, suggesting they aren't truly included in this party. Give you more now from CNN, who's doing a lot of this reporting behind the scenes. And You wonder how much of this is emerging from the mainstream coverage. That's what people want to know. So CNN has this to say. Democratic National Committee on Monday sanctioned a panel inside the formal convention perimeter about Palestinian and Arab issues. Group called it a small win, but continued to push for a more prominent stage. So there you have the reporting, a lot going on. Is it enough? And why not? Why wait to be asked is what I would say, Fran. The Democratic Party has put on really an incredible, I mean, you can feel it, it's palpable through the screen. For those of us who aren't there watching it, it's a giant party and it's filled with some substance too, but why not? You must see this coming, right? And I don't just mean for political reasons, for human reasons. Why didn't they just pick someone to just, if you don't want to talk policy, talk about humanity? I don't understand it. I think it's a misstep.
Yeah, I think that's really well put, because that's exactly what they're saying. They're saying they've given multiple names to the DNC committee, to the Harris campaign of who can speak, what they can speak on. Obviously, every single speech is vetted by this committee. There was a young woman who spoke about being raped by her stepfather. That is a hard thing to hear, but a necessary thing to hear if we're to truly understand the stakes in the election, especially when it comes to reproductive rights. Well, the same thing when it comes to war. What does it mean that we haven't been able to strike a ceasefire? What does it mean that 40,000 people have died? It means that Palestinians, both abroad and here in the United States, their family members are falling right before them, are in desperate need of medical aid, of food aid, are facing famine right now, are wasting away, because it's not just about stopping bombs. You have to stop the bombs if you want to get any food into the region in the first place. So this is critical. And honestly, let's remember that uncommitted delegates, Abbas Alawi says he will vote for Kamala Harris, but this is a tool. This is a tool to say, please change course when it comes to Gaza and to this genocide. Please do something different. And if you're going to have a family member of an Israeli hostage, which sure, that's fine to do, but there are like 140 Israeli hostages, about 800 who were taken initially or something like this. Like, you're gonna put one of their family members up, but 40,000 Palestinians can be murdered, and you're not gonna even allow a single speaker? Ceasefire and a weapons embargo is incredibly popular with Democratic voters. And so if and when, and I hold out hope that they do allow a speaker 5 minutes to just talk about what it is that Palestinians are human, that we want to stop this bloodshed, that yes, we want a ceasefire, and yes, we want Kamala Harris to bring that to us. This is a message, like you said, you don't have to be a robot. This is still a message of unity. This is a big tent, and Arab and Muslim Americans and Palestinian Americans are part of that. So I really hope they change course on this. And I just think that, like, I'm not holding my breath, Sharon, but I'm so proud of the uncommitted delegates. Remember, Tim Walz, now vice presidential nominee Tim Walz, said that he was proud of the uncommitted delegates in Minnesota, the uncommitted voters in Minnesota, his home state. He said we have to listen to them. So Tim Walz, can you listen to them?
Yeah, and I think you're right to point that out, because I think he's telling the truth about what he feels. And I think she believes that if it weren't from the advice of others and a delicate campaign, that they would speak. Yeah. I happen to believe, though, if you're going to be president of the United States, you can't shy away from these teetering events, these delicate events, and you don't want it to blow up into more. She probably believes as they do. And so giving people the access to the microphone, the view, to America, right through their television screens, why not do it? I think it has to happen.
Yes, because right now, this is the story, Sharon. Sorry to interrupt you. We're doing the story. The story now is they will not allow a Palestinian to speak at the DNC. That's the story. So you got to change the narrative. If you want it to all be about joy and positivity, allow a Palestinian speaker. Tell us, Muslim people are some of the most joyful people on the earth. Not that all Palestinians are Muslim, but you know what I mean. Don't be scared of humanizing Palestinians.
That's right. And like I said, it has to happen tonight. Go ahead and do it. Take it off the table. If this is about real change, and I believe, again, the candidates here, top of the ticket, VP nominee, they want a change. And just go, this is not radical, what they're asking for. They're being very decent. They're being very peaceful, of course, which is expected. Okay, people tend to stereotype and think, oh, they're good. No one's being radical here. They're saying we're human beings, and a lot of Americans who have nothing, they don't have relatives over there. They don't. They're not Palestinian. They don't know anyone, perhaps, who's Palestinian, which is a little hard to believe, but some people don't. Some people live in Iowa and other places, and they're not seeing some of the firsthand accounts. They're not hearing them. They care too. Killing has to stop. So I hope the campaign reverses course. Speaking of a campaign that perhaps is going to end soon, I mean, you want to make news, don't you? You want to stay in the spotlight. We get it. RFK Jr. expected to drop out of the race by the end of the week. What does he want? RFK Jr. is expected to drop out of the presidential race by the end of this week. Sources say he may endorse Trump for a price. Here's what his VP, Nicole Shanahan, has recently said on the podcast Impact Theory.
You know, there's two options that we're looking at. And one is staying in, forming that new party, but we run the risk of a Kamala Harris and Walt's presidency because we draw votes from Trump, or we draw somehow more votes from Trump, or we walk away right now and join forces with Donald Trump, and you know, we walk away from that and we explain to our base why we're making this decision.
If I were advising her about just media training, a presentation, if this is what you believe in, I would want you to give a little more energy, force, not as many. And I do this, so yeah. Just say it. If this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing. Give you some of the details. Sources tell ABC News that Kennedy plans to endorse Donald Trump. But when asked directly by ABC News if he will be endorsing the former president, Kennedy said, quote, "I will not confirm or deny that." Very original. When asked specifics, Shanahan clarified. She added that she and Kennedy could walk away right now, join forces with Donald Trump, adding, "I would say that I trust the future of this country more under the leadership of Trump and Senator J.D. Vance than Harris." Newsweek giving the quote there. Sources have warned the decision is not final yet. One possible scenario being discussed right now is for Kennedy to appear on stage with Trump at an event in Phoenix Friday, though the sources caution that Kennedy's thinking could always change. Sources close to Trump say no plan for Friday is finalized. Now, it's important to tell you this. If he joins forces with Trump, is this proof RFK Jr. never cared about climate change, clean air, water, women's freedom, democracy, the rule of law? David Corn thinks so, speaking out about it. And it's a relevant question, wouldn't you think? Spokesperson for Kennedy posted on X that Kennedy will address the nation live on Friday to discuss his path forward. Okay, so he sets it up, Fran. That's the teaser. Live. I'm coming to you live on Friday. I guess my first question, and maybe it's a petty one, will anyone be tuning in? Does anyone care anymore? Has he jumped the shark? His original groundbreaking campaign?
I mean, I guess I'm one of those people that doesn't think a Kennedy running for office is all that groundbreaking or original. He's another elitist, although he claims he's not. He's a massive, wild anti-vaxxer, spreader of conspiracy theories. He has been responsible for the death of many, many people because of those things. He will be fine if he is not running or in office. Here's what happened. He approached the Harris campaign last week. We all know that. And he was like, hey, what's up? Is there a position in your cabinet for me? Because he sees the writing on the wall, the energy right now, although it's not a done deal at all, is in Harrison Walz's favor. People are excited about coming out and voting for them. So he's like, hey, is there a cabinet position? Clearly they didn't answer the call, and they're like, for what, dude? Like, what are you good at? Like, we don't need a falconing expert in the White House. So he's like, no, okay. So then he got mad, and now he's gonna do what he always was probably going to do, which was endorse Donald Trump. Now, this might otherwise scare me a little bit, but here's what I'll say. I don't think that RFK Jr. endorsing Trump will absolutely means he sheds any of the last vestige of his support, because I think a lot of people, especially maybe suburban women, who we all know that Donald Trump really wanted to get, liked RFK Jr. I remember CNN did this whole panel with a bunch of women over a fireplace with a bunch of Chardonnay, obviously mostly white women, going like, I don't know, I really like RFK. Yeah, he's our only choice. But that all falls away once he endorses Donald Trump, just like it fell away when Nikki Haley endorsed Donald Trump, just like it fell away when DeSantis endorsed Donald Trump. They have no other options, and whatever little base that they did build based on I am not Donald Trump, it goes away the moment that he endorses. So I think either those independent candidates, voters will not vote for anyone, vote for Kamala Harris, to be quite frank with you.
I think you're right, and I don't even think you had to clarify that there was a group of white women when you said Chardonnay. If they were sisters, it would be Moscato, okay? It would be Moscato. But I think you're right, and what rubs me here is not that he's he flocks with a certain anti-vaxxers. That's bad enough. But what gets me is you're a phony, aren't you?
Yeah.
I think David Corn's right. You don't agree with all the things that some of those suburban women thought you agreed with. You're all about, I guess, proximity to power. And we know this because when you got mad, which you're also absolutely correct about, Fran, you began leaking and negotiating out loud.
Yeah.
Donald Trump, believe it or not, as bloated as he is, wasn't it? It was you, Kennedy and Shanahan. And it's an uncomfortable thing. And it's, it just has this like loser, like, or as my daughter would say, are they still saying try hard or pick me? I think they're still into it. I think it's more try hard, but he needs to have a seat. And I think you're right. The impact's not there. I don't know that he has the leverage that he's pretending or purporting to have. So I guess we'll keep watching it. And perhaps if we have room on the slate, there'll be an update after his live presser.
It's going to be live on X, isn't it? Don't you think, Sharon?
Yeah.
Of course, it'll be on X. Like it'll be a Spaces thing. Like, oh, cool.
That part, Spaces. I know one thing though. Elon's not going to sit down with him. It'll be somebody else. I don't even think Elon's going to sit down with him. Unless his buddy Trump says, I'm going to sit down with this guy. I don't even know who he is, but sit down with him. All right. We got an update on one of the least liked people in a civilized society. I've declared it. Police raid Andrew Tate's home over child sex allegations. Do you see why he would be one of the least liked people in a civilized society? Watch this.
Wait till you see. They say I'm a lover boy, the mother of my children. Yeah, the mothers of our children. We've tricked them into having kids. Unbelievable. Wait till you see. Remember the first file and the media wasn't asking, where's the evidence? This is your chance. This is your chance to renew it. There's no evidence.
You are okay?
Yeah, for now. Compassion, people, we have to. Compassion. Kids don't learn. Guys, ask them for evidence. The first file, no evidence. It was all a lie. Ask them this time where the evidence is. This is the most crazy. They have no evidence, no proof. They just made up a bunch of. They're lying and they're desperate. This file is more pathetic than the first one. Because Christ is king.
So if we're to believe Andrew Tate, this is all perhaps a misunderstanding. Not exactly mistaken identity, but he says there's no evidence, and we'll see. I think he was saying you'll see. Will we? Per The Guardian, masked armed police raided the Bucharest home of 37-year-old misogynist social media influencer Andrew Tate on Wednesday. This amid fresh claims about trafficking and underage sex. Police and officers conducted 4 searches, that part of an investigation into alleged crimes, including human trafficking and sex with a minor. Tate, who describes himself as a misogynist, has gained millions of fans. That's the way to gain fans, particularly among boys and young men, by promoting an ultra-masculine lifestyle that frequently denigrates women, such as sexualizing underage teen girls. Watch.
She's like, I'm only 16. I was like, give a know about me.
It was a pretty well-known fact that he had kind of a network of young girls.
You've got a fit sister who's 16, maybe.
Muslims have the best frame on earth. I want a virgin wife at 16 who's going to obey me. That's what I want.
You know, you said it looks like I'm in a teenage girl's bedroom.
Yeah.
To some people, that would be an insult, but to me, I find that quite flattering, to be honest. You know, like, that's exactly what you'd expect.
I'm all these 16-year-old women or 18-year-old women, whatever the law is in America. 18?
It's 18 usually. You get married at 16. I think.
All right, in Romania, 16. Sorry.
He employed or forced, we don't know, to do video chat for him and who knows what else.
So Vivian here, that's how it started. I met Vivian in Slovakia. We had a long-term relationship thing. I was living in England. I moved her to England to be with me to start doing my webcam company. So Vivian's been with me 6 years.
So he's been with Vivian for 6 years, right?
Because Vivian's younger. Vivian's like 21.
Vivian's 21. And at this point, he's been a girlfriend for 6 years.
So Vivian here.
It means that they met when she was 15 years old.
What a sicko. What an insecure sicko. What a pervert. What a predator. Right? I could say that because he's the one telling his story. And apparently they think there is evidence in Bucharest, the police over there. Last year, he and his brother, Tristan, were charged with human trafficking, rape, forming a criminal gang to sexually exploit women, allegations that they denied. Brothers and 2 Romanian women are awaiting trial and deny the charges against them, The Guardian with the reporting. Wednesday, Romania's anti-organized crime prosecuting unit, DICOT, said its officers conducted 4 home searches in Lifov County and the Bucharest municipality. It said the investigation concerned a criminal case regarding the commission of the crimes of setting up an organized criminal group, trafficking of minors, human trafficking, sexual intercourse with a minor, influencing statements, and money laundering. Well, that's a pig. If you've done any part of that, then you're just a pig. But again, he said, I don't think he's insulted. He'd say, I'm way over the hill, right? Proudly, okay? Several armed police wearing black balaclavas were photographed at Tate's property, who appeared to be carrying a battering ram to force entry. Tate's representatives confirming officers had raided the brothers' home. Now, there's more in statement. Spokesperson said, although the allegations in the search warrant are not fully clarified yet, they include suspicions of human trafficking, money laundering. Brothers' legal team is present to ensure that all formalities are carried out correctly. Legal team must be very busy. July, a Romanian court of appeal overturned a previous ruling that allowed Tate free movement within the European Union while awaiting trial. Tate, a former kickboxer who has 9.9 million followers on X. Okay, if you're not an investigator or perhaps a journalist, I don't know why you're following this guy, unless you like this piggery. He's repeatedly claimed prosecutors have no evidence against him and that there is a political conspiracy to silence him. He was previously banned from various social media platforms expressing misogynistic views and for hate speech. So we know the business he's in. It's the business of how low can you go? How disgusting can I be? And how much can I brag about it? What do you make of this, though? Because on the one hand, as he climbs into the back of the wagon there and, it's nothing to see here. You'll see. No evidence. But he was free, okay? Somewhat free, Fran. So I don't know if he's done all these things. Why? To me, it feels like it's taking a long time, but maybe it's just to me. What say you?
It is. I mean, I believe he's still awaiting trial for those sex trafficking charges, right? So the idea that he's free, he was in jail for a certain amount of time, but yeah, was able to, again, to just sort of continue spouting all of his hate to his 9 million followers on X and other platforms that he hasn't been booted from. Of course, that's free speech, you know. Yay, the right for child sex traffickers to spew their hate is apparently free speech. But yeah, I mean, it's funny because he is a pig, he is fragile, but he's mostly a criminal. And it's ironic because he originally moved to Romania to avoid some of this actual accountability for harming minors, for harming women, for trafficking them, and for setting up, you know, a money laundering scheme that preyed upon them. He moved there because of the more lax laws around sexual assault. More lax laws are obviously around the age of consent. He's like, oh, it's 16 in Romania. He did that on purpose because that's what fragile ass dudes that weren't hugged as children and you know, use HGH to replace the hugs of their parents do. And it's just so funny because he's like, oh yeah, I look like I'm in a girl's bedroom and that would be an insult to anyone else. Notice how the other 3 people on that call were not laughing. That is not funny. That doesn't come off as cool. That is creepy. We are in the year 2024. We all know preying on girls, especially if you're a 37-year-old man, makes you look dumb, makes you look weak, makes you look, yeah, like a criminal. So I'm very excited. I love that he, you know, here's the thing about Andrew Tate. He doesn't think that there's any evidence because the many women who have testified against him, including former girlfriends, people who are like, yeah, no, I was his girlfriend willingly. This was like very, very consensual until he started hitting me, until it became abusive, right? Like that is Andrew Tate. All of them have gone on record to talk about him. Oh, but that doesn't count. Oh, because women aren't human, I guess. They can talk, but no, they're not human. So, you know, gross, get this scum away from anyone. Lock him up, dude, lock him up.
And why? And I don't know why I'm going down this because people can follow who they want. I guess I'm just curious though. I want to know who these 9.9 million, they can't all be just like investigative types or, you know.
They're 12-year-olds. They're 12-year-olds. They're children. There's little boys who, you know, have not had experiences with women, desperately want to, and they are now being led to believe that instead of just sort of being nice or asking a fun question or like being cool or like offering, you know, to play a game with somebody or whatever it is, however you normally talk to anyone you want to be friends with, the idea is to hate the very people who won't be your friend or won't give you attention, and that will somehow make you more of a man. It is literal children. It's funny, he preys on female children for sex, and then he preys on female boys, he preys on male children, excuse me, to, you know, for his following.
Right. And, you know, I think you raised a very interesting point as I was just kind of throwing that out there. I worked with a guy who had a bunch of kids. I remember we were close and he came to me and he said, I had to take my son's iPad, my young son, because he had discovered things that he shouldn't be looking at. And I said, oh, that's a shame. And he said, you know, the kid would steal it back. This was a good kid. And he's still a good kid. And he would say, he's ruined. This stuff has ruined my kid because he then had this urge to like, he was seeking it out and being disrespectful and disobeying. He's looking at people like Tate.
Yes.
Who are forming in his young, impressionable, beautiful mind what should happen in these relations.
Yes.
And it's thick. It's poison.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you the last word before our break, Fran.
No, and I'll just say that, I mean, thank God he's also as awful as he is on the outside as he is in his private life. And he's actually doing the crimes that clearly, outwardly, he says should be okay to do to women so that we can actually take away some of his platforms and there can be some accountability. But there are many other misogynists who might not be in their private life trafficking people who are also spewing that same hate. And so the idea is for, I think, other men to step up and truly say toxic masculinity isn't masculine at all. It's actually incredibly weak, and you can be a strong, hot guy who, like, you know, is good with women, but also incredibly respectful and kind and sweet and funny and all of the ways that dudes normally get women, which is being all of those things.
Imagine that, living out loud. He can continue to live out loud. I guess we can stomach it if it helps put him away. This is Indisputable with Francesca Fiorentini, Situation Room. Very funny gal, very funny. Were you born funny? Or you just naturally funny?
Yeah, I came out.
You don't have to work at it.
I started clowning on the doctor who helped birth me.
Probably. I bet your parents saw it early. We love having you on. This is Indisputable. I'm Sharon Reed alongside Francesca. Doc has the day off. Much more to come.
Welcome to the Damage Report. I'm John Idarola. This is gonna be a big one. Meanwhile, in the Arctic, you know where this is going. You watch the Damage Report, the Arctic's on fire. Obviously, why would we be talking about the Arctic except to tell you that it's melting once again? The Republicans aren't that interested in it. I wonder why. Lift out of poverty up to 3.7 million people, including an estimated 1.3 million children. Hashtag save the children? Not if it costs money. I mean, come on.
At TYT, our mission is to boldly pursue truth, challenge the establishment, and drive positive change. At a time when corporate capture of our media, our government, and our politics is nearly absolute, everyday working people need a champion to fight for them and to push back against the powerful interests that threaten our democracy itself. At TYT, we're proudly progressive and call out corruption and duplicity wherever we see it, from Republicans, Democrats, or anyone else. And unlike mainstream news media outlets, we're not beholden to corporate advertisers, to defense contractors, to Wall Street, or to Big Pharma. We only have to answer to our audience, and for nearly 2 decades, we've accomplished that by delivering honest, timely, and insightful perspectives on the day's news without fear or favor or concern for whose toes we might step on or which powerful elites we might offend. And while we're super serious about the news, we also manage to do it in a way that is fun and lighthearted. We can do this together and serve our audience, and yes, have fun doing it.
Indisputable is still the fastest growing news show in America compared to CNN, Fox News, and 30 other networks. We tell the truth on Indisputable because the truth is indisputable. We go places that other news media outlets refuse to go. When there were human rights abuses happening at the Victorville prison, guards and members of the community contacted us.
You, through your investigative reporting, unearthed very troubling allegations about specific forms of abuse and discrimination in the federal prison system.
It really doesn't take much to be a trusted voice. All it takes is to be fearless, report on matters, be an advocate. I called it the bullpen intentionally because it's a place of preparation. We present individuals who may have an opposing view, so we debate. Sometimes we interview individuals because their stories deserve to be heard. A survivor of significant police misconduct and his attorney. We covered this story earlier, and to remind you of the horror of one man being shot at damn near 100 times by the police. We take time on this show to showcase the temper tantrums of Karens in the wild. We do this not because we want to see people's emotional outbursts in public, but because these incidents are emblematic of a bigger societal issue taking place across the nation, and it has to be checked.
My friend, my big homie, attorney at law, Benjamin Crump.
I just want to thank you, man. Educated, articulate brothers like yourself speak truth to power. It makes a great difference in changing the landscape in America. So
listen, no matter what you do, don't allow the politics of ideology to evaporate the soul that still exists inside of you. They don't stop, I don't stop. Racism won't stop, I won't stop. Systemic bias won't stop, I won't stop. People still need health care, so I won't stop. People still need criminal justice systems reform, so I won't stop. You won't stop either.
Welcome back. This is Indisputable. Dr. Rashad Ritchie has the day off. We're honored to be just kind of minding the big chair for him alongside Francesca Fiorentini, Habituation Room fame.
Thank
Very
you. I just
funny
quickly, I totally misspoke. Not 800 hostages,
We know you're
250. Everybody needs to know that. I know I messed up. We're correcting that. But yes, 250 hostages taken by Hamas.
You know, that's what I love. Most comedians, and I don't know, maybe I'm stereotyping, humble, willing to own it. I mean, I guess you guys have to as you prepare sets and you prepare jokes. You have to kind of look under the hood.
That's
okay?
my news. That's my news hat. I'm wearing my news hat. If someone fact checks me on a joke, they can go to hell.
Okay, I will. I won't call it out if I get. So if I'm sitting in the audience, don't call it out and say, all right.
Yeah.
Or you might. Well, then you draw a target. Okay, I don't want to draw a target with a comedian. There's a lot of material here, and I don't want to open the vault for you guys. Hey, listen, we're so proud of this audience, Fran, because humble, giving, generous, thoughtful, smart. This drive, we're so close to meeting our goal, just about 10 to 12,000 away. You helped keep us independent, which will always be, at the Democratic National Convention. I mean, you gave and gave, and this is our last day. So if there's anybody out there who feels so inclined, we appreciate it because there'll be more great coverage tonight, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Tune into tyt.com/live. And if you are inclined to give, just know we appreciate you. It's your network too. And we're honored that you share in the commentary. Give us your thoughts as well, but also you give when I know it's hard out there for a lot of people, but this is a worthy cause to so many of you, so thank you. Now, more about what you're sharing on social media. Chocolate Addicted Dragon, TYT member. Hey, Dragons. I made it to the indisputable truth time in our powerful cave. I'll be lurking and working with the TYT shows. In the background, make sure to have some chocolate to sweeten the bitter politics as we work towards Trump and his brainwashed MAGA head fascist cult. Thank you for that reminder, that public service announcement, if you will. Chocolate Addicted Dragon. I'm addicted to chocolate too. That's why if I start, I can't stop. So I have to, some things I don't even bring into the house, okay? I just can't. Let's see, Luke Wise. Let's see, I gotta put my glasses on. I was trying not to. Luke Wise, Sam Gee, OMG, double dose of Francesca. I'm about it. Yes, Fran was on TDR. And I know you had wonderful things. I was preparing for the show, so I didn't catch it, but I'll catch the rewind. How's John doing?
He's good. He's great. I'm sad I'm not there with him, but yeah, he's all in convention mode and like in a suit and stuff. So I feel very scrappy next to him. But yeah, you got a double dose, not of Karen's today, but of Franny, and I hope that's better actually.
Well, don't say we won't miss out on the Karens, Fran. You just wait. Uncommitted delegates and that sit-in after the DNC won't allow even one speaker. That's not nice, is it? Is it humane? We have people who are they're pouring their hearts out. These are their stories. Salvi Dragon says, simple question at the DNC, how many Palestinian lives matter? Wow. And that's a powerful question. And I get it. I get why you state it because it just really drives it home. If you say that you're for all people, that really does mean all people. It does. Police raid Andrew Tate's home over child sex allegations. No, it's not an old story. Here he is again. Oh, Andrew Tate, I hope he's in jail for a long time. If he's not in jail, that's messed up. That's from John 25. Next TYT reporter says Tate said the same thing last time he was arrested for sex trafficking. He's a known liar and trafficker. I totally believe he did this with good reason. YouTube now, RJL Network. Right now, I'm more concerned about American democracy due to Project 2025 and Trump, the traitor. Little cat about those delegates. Unfortunately, conventions are about happy, happy, joy, joy. And look, Fran and I, we're not saying we don't want happiness and joy. We've had a lot of trauma over the last decade. We deserve to be happy, but you can't. Can you be happy if your neighbor's house is on fire?
No.
Even if you don't like your neighbor, if you're a human being, that's going to really kind of bring me on down.
Can you be happy when every single day on our phones we are seeing images of dead children? I mean, just in the break, I saw yet another, brother screaming over over his dead brother's body, who's like an 8-year-old. I mean, every single day this goes on. So like the dissonance is really, really loud for a lot of young voters, especially who are online, who are on TikTok and on Instagram, and they are empathetic. Why? Because social media has made us all realize just how human we are. We're all human. We all do things in similar ways. And my God, like there is nothing that makes me better than a Palestinian than nothing under the sun.
Let's just keep it real. And it's all over the world. This is instant. We can see this stuff. I've had friends who say, oh, you're too invested, just turn it off. I can't turn it off. I don't want to see this carnage. It haunts me. Yeah. I feel like we have to keep looking. Yeah. We can't ignore this. And a lot of people online, we hear all of you. We'll get more of your comments after a bit because they're all there. You keep saying it for everybody, but what about this? What about that? We'll give you more comments in just a little bit, but I just want people to know we hear you and concur. All right. The only way you can ignore others' suffering is maybe if you're somebody who likes to cause it. And I'm not suggesting that genocide is what they're about, but these are pretty dangerous people. Set their targets, look at themselves as above others. They think they're better than all of us. And so they're going to impose their will. And here we are again. Here we are again. You just won't quit, will you? I wish a Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
You're still free! Back off!
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Trading loser piece of shit. Yeah, videotape me all day long. What else? Trump will win, and we're going to bring it back. Yeah. You! Yeah. You! You! No brain! You! Is that it?
I'm concerned. We'll get to it, but I'm concerned, Fran, because the gentleman in the foot, it could just be my monitor. He's bloated. He's got this like extra angry bloat. He's red. He's raging. I'm not accusing him of steroid use. I'm just telling you sometimes people have this like bloated look and they're angry and they're not rational. And I'm thinking, I sometimes tell my daughter, if somebody does something to me in traffic, I don't address it, Fran. Because I know road rage is real. And every day on the way to school, drive my daughter, and she'll do something like to another drive. I say, you guys stop doing that. When we walk by, she thinks it's funny. She giggles. I don't know that she would have stuck her tongue out at that guy. He's out there, okay? Give you the backstory. He's irate. I think we know that. A MAGA male Karen yelling at a man from his truck. Do you see what I mean about that? And his hair is very blonde. And I'm not against blondes. I'm just telling you there's a look to these people. You got to avoid them at all costs. Don't engage. Yeah. Video told me all day long, yelled the male Karen who has never heard of transition lenses. He has what looks like regular glasses on his head, sunglasses in his steering wheel hand. And there's the observation. He's just, look at this. This is just, I'm surprised there's not foam. And maybe the producer said, we'll edit this. We're not going to put the foamy mouth in there too. But he is just like a rabid animal. And I don't mean to be rude to animals who may have an infection. But why are you doing this? And I'm asking it rhetorically because I don't believe you've ever done this in your life, Fran. But why is he so pumped with hot, steamy, dirty air? Why is he doing this?
Yeah, he is so on brand MAGA. He's like a MAGA mascot. Like that's what they look like. He looks like the Stretch Armstrong doll from when we were kids, just like squeezed a little too hard, right? But that's what it is. I'm driving a massive truck and I'm screaming at this person who has bothered me for, and let's be real, Sharon, Probably because they are also not a red-faced white guy with bleach blonde hair. And I'm screaming at them because I think this is my right, no matter whether it's like something, road rage related or whatever, traffic related. There is no excuse here. If he hadn't driven off, I'm sure there was going to be some sort of racial epithet that he would have thrown. But that is the MAGA movement. It is scary. It is violent. It is clearly feels embattled and entitled to scream at anyone. And like, they are bullies. They are bullies. And as Joyanne Reed said recently, they're just mean. This is a movement that is mean. That is not a nice person. There's no way you would get me to join that guy's church. You know what I'm saying? Like, that guy's move. I'm not buying whatever that dude is selling. I do not know. But so again, like it's just so funny that like JD Vance and Donald Trump and all the Republican advisors cannot see that their emissaries for their political movement are these hothead, meathead, like psychos who are just all around. And I think, Sharon, I'm like, God, if and when we finally slay this dragon, we get rid of this zombie named Trump, like, how do you de-radicalize these people? I mean, they are very scary. And I do think that the answer is like actually giving them something positive, whether it's education, whether it is, affordable housing, whether it's, I know that is so disgusting for me to have empathy for people like that, but I'm like, give them a reason to not be so angry.
So you think if we could just educate them a little bit, that could go a long way.
Just get a little bit of critical race theory up in there. Come on now.
Let's get you some CRT and maybe details. But just to start, like when you're quitting smoking and people chew that gum. I heard it gives you a kick. I had a co-anchor who chewed it excessively. And I said, why are you always chewing that? You don't even smoke. He said, well, it gives me a kick before the newscast. I drink coffee. But and I'm not proud of this, but as you mentioned, JD Vance, I couldn't help but thinking of this extraordinarily beautiful inauguration where there you had Kamala Harris, the first woman to occupy the White House. She's swearing in, and JD Vance, Tim Walz, can you walk that back? So there she is, Harris and Walz, and they're probably, and they walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, make sure Secret Service is on point, okay? And then I just picture just wild feral cats. I think they should just release feral cats everywhere for the inauguration and have tuna. And I think that would go a long way. Now, I don't know what happens to him after. He's got to adopt all these cats, but I don't know why. I just thought of that, Fran.
I think having a petting zoo at the inauguration would be lovely. I think I love cats. I love small donkeys or ponies. That would be dope. I was at Trump's inauguration. Let me say, it was not fun. It was a lot of angry, committed racists.
Even when you won, you see that? Angry, even in victory. This is what you're about. You're right. You, Joy Reid, they're just not nice people. And can I make one final point here? And maybe you'll help me out here. We don't label you a male Karen because you had a bad moment. And everybody gets angry. I don't know about like that. It's because there's more to it, okay? It's when you choose to activate, or maybe you can't help it. I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, just that entitlement. And again, it's like thinking you're better than other people. That's the most un-American thing ever, is thinking that certain people are better than others or more deserving than others, and other people need to shut up. And I'm so grateful, honestly, with critiques, but that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz can articulate, because let's be real, Joe Biden wasn't able to articulate a certain amount of decency that they want to continue, not restore to the White House, but just continue to build in our political sphere.
Yeah, he's on vacation. I don't know that he's watching. Well, they said he's on vacation.
He's angry.
I keep wondering, did somebody tell him after your speech, get out of here, because that's like we're literally we're turning the corner. But it's fine. You said it's un-American behavior. I agree with you, and that moves us seamlessly to American Airlines. What's your malfunction? And we're not even talking about maintenance. What's going on here? This keeps happening. American Airlines allegedly kicks Juvenile, back that ass up. Well, that's what he's famous for, okay? From first class. I want you to take a look, because he's back in the headlines again. American Airlines is, rather, this time for their treatment of the rapper. Watch this.
repercussions to this, because I'm gonna get off the plane. I'm gonna get off the plane. I'm not gonna let y'all disrespect me like that. I'm not gonna let y'all choose me out of all the people on the plane and disrespect me. So I'm gonna get off the plane. No. I'm gonna get off the plane. Come on. You ain't gonna disrespect me.
You make sure you get all your stuff, baby.
Kind of funny to me, I ain't gonna lie.
They took your seat but didn't take my seat. I don't understand. Ma'am,
out of all the people on the plane, y'all pick a celebrity. Out of all the people on the plane, you pick me. Like you don't know who I am. Like I don't want to hear that. Don't keep saying you sorry. Don't keep saying you sorry. Don't keep saying you sorry. I don't want to hear that. Sorry. You sorry you wouldn't pick me out of all the people on the plane. Seriously.
I never heard of nothing like this before because you downgraded you taking his seat. Told you I can't stand American Airlines.
This trash anyway. I fly Delta, man. I don't fly this shit anyway. All jets. Fly this trash ass shit anyway. Get some TVs on this.
There you have it. Rapper Juvenile at the end. Well, at least he giggled at the end there, but he was hot. Calling out the lack of amenities as well on his way out the door. He gave Delta a plug. I'm sure they're happy about it. All airlines have some issue, but American keeps landing on the same one. And by the way, celebrities like to be singled out, just not like this. Give you the details. According to Complex, rapper Juvenile has publicly called out American Airlines following a recent incident where the rapper and his wife, you heard her just in the background, ride or die. Okay, I back him up 100%. They were allegedly kicked out of first class on a flight headed to Dallas. The back that ass up. I wish I could say it like him. It's just, I could have been something in this rap game. The rapper took to Instagram Live while he and his wife were being told by flight attendants that he had to move from first class to coach. You get to the back. That's not what they said, but I imagine that's how he felt. They said it. When Juvie refuses to leave his seat, his wife can be heard telling them they were in their assigned seats. We bought these seats, baby. Okay, Juvenile eventually told them he preferred to just get off the plane as opposed to allowing them to, quote, disrespect me like that. I'm a celebrity, he said. I'm telling you, this is going to be, repercussions. It's going to be repercussions because I'm going to get off the plane. I'm going to get off the plane. I'm not going to let y'all disrespect me like this. I'm not going to let y'all choose me out of all the people on the plane and disrespect me. So I'm going to get off the plane. Now, Juvenile later posted another video showing his previously booked flights, many of which were American Airlines. I think I know a thing or two about first class, he said. F American Airlines. All the money I done spent with you, I'll say Mitch's, but you know what you call them. New Orleans native ended up taking a flight with another airline in order to make it in time for his show in Fort Worth. He's working, trying to get from point A to B. He's earned the right. He purchased, these seats are expensive. And I don't even care where he was sitting, but don't treat me this way, is what he's saying. We've previously covered, I'm not being unfair. We're about to list the history here. We've covered other bad experiences Black passengers have experienced while flying with American Airlines. Remember Judge Pamela Hillville? If not, watch this.
The first thing that happened was the flight attendant attempted to get my husband to change his seat so that someone else could sit next to the person they wanted to sit next to. And my husband refused. He refused to do it. And the flight attendant left. And then I think he came back a second time to make sure that my husband would not give up his seat. And that is something that my husband says he always felt as though that's what started this all. Since he couldn't do him, then he ended up doing me. And when I went to the restroom the first time, when I came out, he told me that I slammed the door and that there are people sleeping on the flight. I didn't say a word. I just walked onto my seat. The second time that I used the restroom, when I came out, he said, I told you not to slam the door. So from now on, you're to use the bathroom at the back of the plane. I looked at him and I told him there were other people that had used the restroom. There were 3 white guys that used the restroom, and you didn't say anything to them about slamming the door. And I just went to my seat and sat there. The 3rd time that I went, he followed me back to my seat. He touched me on my shoulder, told me that I was going to be arrested because he didn't like the way I spoke to him and that I hit him. I told him I did not hit you, and that was it. The plane, right before it landed, the pilot had said that everyone is to remain seated because we're going to have law enforcement come on board.
Yeah, they're always, I think it's still okay to say doing too much, right? Isn't that what they say? Doing too much. That's how I feel about American Airlines. This is a judge who, you slam the door? You know how there's that loud ambiance anyway on a plane, okay? They've got these engines and things. I'm not saying it's like the Wright brothers days, but, and most people's ears are clogged anyway. What are you talking about? So there's more. We also covered an incident involving 8 black men kicked off the plane over alleged body odor. For real.
As I got my things and walked to the front of the plane and made a left to the jet bridge, I noticed that there was 7 other black men. And that kind of was like, okay, what's happening here? So
for plaintiffs Emmanuel Jean Joseph, Alvin Jackson, and Xavier Veal, Flight 832 was a connection. They'd taken an earlier flight from Los Angeles without issue.
It was just black men. So I started freaking out. I pulled out my phone to record everything.
At any point, did somebody from American say to any of you that you had an offensive odor?
No.
The lawsuit claims over the course of about an hour, the men were kept in the jetway and then moved to the gate area where they were told they'd be rebooked on another flight to New York later that day, and alleges an American employee indicated the complaint about offensive body odor had come from a white male flight attendant. A gate agent seen in the video at one point seems to agree race was a factor in the men getting pulled off the flight.
Just because of the color of my skin. Okay.
I do not disagree with you. Okay, well, that makes me feel a little bit better. But I didn't even need that to convince me, but that's just me. That was CBS News with that report. NAACP. NCAA probably shouldn't use American either. But anyway, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People that issued a travel warning. That's how bad it is. They don't do that over one incident, one isolated thing. After they kicked those 8 men off the plane, said we stink or something. Come on. American Airlines faced criticism in 2017 for its treatment of black passengers, including removing people from flights, which prompted a travel advisory from the NAACP. The group lifted the warning the following year. Washington Post with the details. And look, they lift the warning usually after extensive talks with American. As I recall, we reported they were in talks. American was trying to do better. I don't know how you do better, though, Fran, when you have it feels like a systemic culture here. I said it again, okay? I'll say it again. All airlines, all businesses have, when you're large enough, you're going to have issues. But it seems to be concentrated in this one you, we'll call it. What say you?
I mean, what's so funny about, whenever you get into a discussion with anyone about airlines, everyone has their preference. I particularly hate United, right? I remember when they dragged that passenger out by his arms because they overbooked it, because they always overbook it, right? And that's what happens when you have these awful, unaccountable monopolies. Is it's just a race to the bottom, and everyone's like, no, this one's the worst, this one's the worst, this one's the worst, for all the different reasons that they gouge us for the amount of money that they charge. But let's be real here. American Airlines has a racism problem, okay? And I saw that apparently they said that the plane was switched, and so there were fewer seats in first class. That's totally a fine problem to have. But what you do then is very important. What a lot of airlines will do is they will offer things to different passengers. You can easily announce to first class, hey, we will give you not only a first class ticket on another flight, but also blank amount of miles or a third first class ticket. They're good for it, right? If one of you will switch to sit in coach. Would anyone take that offer? And I'm sure that potentially one of them would. But randomly singling out, not randomly, singling out the black man to go sit in economy is just not a good look. You have to actually have some sort of fairness and also take accountability for the fact that you have a different plane or you overbooked the flight. There's a million different ways to handle this, but over and over again, and that 2017 incident is just disgusting. I don't know how you bounce back from that. I mean, that is just wild to me. And look, it's cultural, meaning it comes from these individual flight attendants, but it's a corporate culture clearly. And they have not been, sensitivity trained. They've not been told, hey, don't be racist. Treat all passengers equally.
I couldn't agree with you more. Because, I get so tired of having to justify, well, we don't know if it was racist. Look, man, if people just walk away thinking that they're being targeted, you have a problem.
Yes.
When you're in an open marketplace and you want, presumably, customers, they've got a problem. And you're absolutely right. I don't know if somebody in corporate said, treat the black people bad. But right. I do know that you don't behave a certain way, multiple people behaving a certain way, if you don't think you can get away with it.
Right.
And that's what I think you're saying when it comes to culture. I'll give you a last word.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's the implicit bias, right? Like implicitly, if you have airline flight attendants and you have people working the gate and you're like, we have a first class, we have an image to protect and blah, blah, and you institute that. I do think, especially with white people, there is an implicit racism. So if they're gonna single someone out, they might single out the black man. That's just reality, right? Doesn't mean that person is evil, but there is an implicit bias there. So you have to work against that. You need to train your staff better than that, right? And again, you need to pony up the money so that they don't have to choose which passenger. Just say, hey, we're gonna offer you 20,000 miles. Perfect. You know you're good for it. Just offer them 20,000 miles if you want to, sit in economy for this flight. It's not that hard.
Nice. Can't you just be nice about it? I don't understand. I'll say it again. Maybe I told the same story yesterday, but I'm getting older. What I would field these calls in the newsroom, the local newsrooms ran, and people would complain about our coverage. Maybe who knows what we did that day? We made a lot of mistakes. And sometimes they'd say, I hate that Sharon Reed girl. They didn't know it was me. I would just say Action News or whatever. And I would listen. What do I care? Okay. I'd listen. Sometimes they were right. And I'd say, well, she is annoying. And by the end of the call, we were friends. And I'd say, guess what? It's me. And they say, oh, honey, I'm sorry. I said, no, don't be sorry. Sometimes I annoy myself. And then they'd be viewers for life. Okay. A little nice goes a long way. All right. They're giving me the rap. And I think it's really because they're tired of my stories. Are you rapping my story? Or are you saying go to break? Okay. Who knows? Okay, but I'm all right, he's saying break. I just love the team behind the scenes. Francesca Fiorentini, Habituation Room, one of our faves. A double duty today, was on TDR at the Democratic National Convention, joining John virtually. We love her. And we appreciate you, Doc, for letting us fill the chair. This is Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Ritchie. He has the day off, much more to come.
Do all of you know the Young Turks?
An outlet like yourself that are willing to cover this story from the very beginning.
You have the Young Turks and a bunch of other progressive forces saying this is the time to fight for our values.
And I think right now there are a lot of progressive voters, many leftists who feel like they don't have a home.
And this is why what Cenk and the Young Turks are doing is so important.
What we've done is sustainable, slow, healthy growth. And I think that's the way news should be, where you don't rely on sensationalist stuff. You don't lean on whatever's trendy in the news at any given moment. You just go with the truth.
You gave me a platform.
You've uplifted so many other progressive voices through this network, and you're constantly looking for people that you can amplify through the work we do, through the infrastructure that you built at TYT.
It takes those early people who believe that can really be the seeds of this movement, and that has been the Young Turks.
We're super serious about the news. We also managed to do it in a way that is fun and lighthearted. We're not TYT, you're TYT.
Welcome to the Damage Report. I'm John Idarola. This is gonna be a big one.
Meanwhile, in the Arctic, you know where this is going. You watch the Damage Report, the Arctic's on fire. Obviously, why would we be talking about the Arctic except to tell you that it's melting once again? The Republicans aren't that interested in it. I wonder why. Lift out of poverty up to 3.7 million people, including an estimated 1.3 million children. Hashtag save the children? Not if it costs money. I mean, come on.
Welcome back to Indisputable. Dr. Rashad Ritchie has the day off. Francesca Fiorentini joins me, Sharon Reed. We're filling in for Doc, holding down the big chair. Hey, listen, we appreciate all your support. TYT is honored that you all have, frankly, opened up your wallets, helped support this independent coverage. It's been incredible coverage, too, in Chicago at the DNC. Anna, Jank, John. A lot of the team is there thanks to you. Our goal is just, this is the last day, so we're just a little bit shy of what we need, about $10,000 to $12,000, but we just appreciate you so much. If you can, if you're inclined to give a little bit more, please do so. If you can't, just watching, thankfully, is helping. And being part of the community and also giving your viewer comments. So just wanted to give you that one final thank you and one final push there. Now, let's get to more of your comments. You guys are very active today, and we appreciate that. We do. TYT members first. Socialized Pole, aka Bottom Dragon. Our own John is the anti-Andrew Tate.
Yes.
John is. I think you see that every day on TDR. He's just a good human being. I think he was raised that way. I know he is, but he talks about how he has all these women in the house, now his daughter too. And so it wouldn't go down so well, but he's just a great guy and a funny guy and a guy who is well-read. I got to put my glasses on for this one, Fran. It's for you. Tuggin the Tubin has this to say. Hey, Fran, it was great to see you in Chicago.
Yes.
I was the dumbass who thought Monday, August 20th existed. So I saw you twice. I'm back in Kentucky now wearing my Bituation Room t-shirt.
Yes.
Totally slept in after the late night drive home. See, you have fans. They're driving hours to see you. They want
I know. Tuggin the Tubin, the best name. And yes, much love to you and your amazing husband, because I heard all about him. He sounds great.
Well, that's great. You got two. And I think he liked doing two. Two shows is great.
It was fun.
Yeah. And someone agrees with us. Maybe I'm the one who said, I don't want to put it on you, but that irate MAGA male Karen yelling at the man from his truck, who I said had that look. Very, very, I'm concerned, unwell. It's roid rage, Skywalker JLP says. Oh, yeah. Leave it at that. It appears to be. Get some help. Get some help. All right. Somebody else who needs to get some help is one Nick Fuentes, ranting this time about the Obamas and their, quote, this is so racist, uppity ways. Here's what he said this time.
So I really don't like the Obamas. I especially don't like Michelle. She's a bitch. And she had this little riff in there right in the middle of the speech where she's talking trash about Trump and saying, oh, Trump was such a narrow-minded guy. He couldn't handle a couple of smart, successful, educated black people. You know, and there's so many, it's a lot of the women. So many black people think that way. That is such an off-putting, resentful attitude. It's gross. That's part of what's wrong with black people in America is that chip on their shoulder. No humility. No humility. They're the first ones to come up and say, oh, well, we didn't have it easy because of racism and white people have it easy. Shut up. I'm so sick of that attitude we get. You know, they're so proud, so uppity. They were so fake, so arrogant, so smug, resentful, uppity, that chip on their shoulder. I mean, they really think they have it going on. And they hate, you can tell they hate this country. They hate white people.
Oh, the Obamas, they love this country. They serve this country. They might hate one white person if hate's in their heart. I don't know. I think they don't like him. And for obvious reasons. He's a white nationalist. Nick Fuentes, unsurprisingly, went on another racist rant. That's his brand. He's staying on message, this time about the Obamas following their speeches at the DNC. While some would consider his opinions on the fringe of the right wing, let's compare it to the recent commentary from Fox News and Newsmax about the Obamas.
Barack Obama, still the godfather of this machine. He's definitely going to interfere in this election. That's why we'll be sending Johnny to Hawaii to get the truth about the birth certificate. This time we will dig deep and find out what really happened.
So I actually don't think she would have been that formidable at the end of the day.
I don't know. I disagree with you. I think they would have made Michelle into that Hollywood-style type of candidate. They're doing this with Kamala.
One thing, though, she never had a job. It's true. You can look it up. I think she worked as nobody knows.
I mean,
no job.
I don't think that would matter.
It's given to her because her husband was a state senator.
These are all unintelligent people. She did have a job, not that it mattered, okay? That's how they met, as I recall. A young Barack Obama, he said, oh, it's a funny name. They said, hey, can you take this Harvard kid under your wing at the law firm? And she did. And then they got married, had babies, made it to Washington, D.C. Was the first black president and first lady. So these people are not intelligent, aggrieved. I don't know why. Once again, for the record, do I really have to tell you this? I will, just in case someone is being nosy who doesn't really believe in freedom and decency. And so they've tuned into us. Okay, they don't like independent journalism, but they happen upon it. So I'm going to give you this disclaimer. The birtherism rumors have been proven false. They're not true. It was never true. Any of it. Mr. Obama's citizenship was never in question. No credible evidence ever suggested otherwise. Mr. Obama released his short-form birth certificate from the Hawaii Department of Health in 2008. Most of the world moved on, but not Donald Trump. Can we see your transcript, by the way? New York Times with the, once again, giving you the details. We've got to move on from this now, okay? In regards to Michelle's resume, prior to becoming First Lady, Michelle earned a bachelor's degree from Princeton University. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's Ivy League. Juris Doctorate degree from Harvard Law School, that is as well. 1988, she returned to Chicago to join the firm of Sidley Austin. It was there that she met Barack Obama. He was a summer associate. She was assigned to advise. They fell in love. They married in 1992. By that time, Michelle had turned her energies to public service. She was assistant commissioner of planning and development in Chicago City Hall before becoming the founding executive director of the Chicago chapter of Public Allies, an AmeriCorps program that prepares young people for public service. I don't know why I broke into that song, but I feel like I'm just getting through these disclaimers, okay? White House released that in 1996. She joined the University of Chicago as an associate dean of student services. I'm not counting, but that's several jobs right there, where she developed the university's first community service program. In 2002, she went to work for the University of Chicago Medical Center, where in 2005, she became the vice president of community and external affairs. So he is up to more buffoonery. He's an nincompoop, okay, Fran? And I'm running out of words here because he's wasting air that good, decent people could breathe. That's really the way I feel now.
Yeah.
I want him to use less oxygen.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like the soul of David Foster Wallace was exhumed and just inhabited like a Muppet character, and that is Nick Fuentes. And he's just like, why are the blacks doing that? Like, he is so fragile when it comes to this. And the reason they're saying all of these things is because it's the exact opposite. That they are successful, that they are smart, that they are American, that they are, civil servants and have been civil servants, that they are careerists. And that's exactly what Michelle Obama's point was in her speech, was saying that Donald Trump had such a problem with the fact that we were hardworking, we were successful, and we made it to the White House, and we happen to be black. She didn't start with that. She was saying that that was what tipped him over the edge. And so the fact that she's now being called uppity or the chip on her shoulder, like, this is what black Americans are told all the time, that they should forget about the legacies of slavery. Oh, even though it means they can't rent houses or own houses in certain neighborhoods or get kicked off of airplanes, or don't have generational wealth. No, forget off all of that. Don't have a chip on your shoulder. Just buck up and work hard and do all the things. Guess what? The Obamas did exactly that. That's how they got where they are. And now they're being told they have a chip on their shoulder from a, little howdy doody racist over there. Shut up. You weird little mannequin boy. Like, you're such a creepy little spirit, So I'm just like, he is like, it is so gross to even have to do this story. It is gross to have to, whip out, Michelle Obama's, career history, but let's do it. You want to go toe to toe? You're an effing white nationalist YouTube influencer or whatever. Like, whoa. So anyway, Sharon, you
did that, baby. She went off. Okay.
It grosses. Yes.
Intellect and I loved it. And I agree with all of it.
We'll pick up where we can end it or pick up where I left out.
I think that's button it. Okay. What you said was real. Okay. I just, come on. And then there's this guy. You spent your career oiled up with inflated muscles and that silly little hairdo, and that silly little mustache. I want you to dress and look however you want. I don't really care. You called yourself Hulk Hogan, and you have jokes now about Kamala Harris and the race thing. You want to body slam her, Hulk? Get a grip. But okay, we'll show you what he did.
You want to get crazy? You want me to throw more beers out? You want me to body slam somebody? You want me to body slam Kamala Harris? I said, do you want me to body slam Kamala Harris? You want me to drop the leg on Kamala? Is Kamala a chameleon? Is she Indian? Okay, I like it. Ow. I'm gonna get heat for that one, brother. That was not me, that was the beers talking.
Now, do you see, you juxtapose, he's just not bright and not funny. And I hope our comedian and wonderful talent, Fran, can appreciate it. He's also just not funny. I like real comedians who make me laugh. He's not one. I don't even think he's a great entertainer. This is him, smelling sudsy bar beer, coming off the heels of his speech. Is that what we're calling it? At the RNC, Hulk Hogan was at the Thirsty Cowboy. He was thirsty, all right. Medina, Ohio. I know something about Medina. Promoting his new beer Monday night when he grabbed the mic and he started firing up the crowd. Things quickly flew off the rails. This is it. Speaking of Hogan's beer company, we previously covered influencer Essence Janae made allegations against Hulk Hogan that she was fired from her position as a brand ambassador for Hogan's Real American Beer business due to her being black. She's black. They probably just said, look, we got a pretty model. Oh, okay. And he forgot to say, is she black? Or use another word. All right, so according to Janae, via her TikTok, her contract was supposed to last a week, but after promoting the brand for just one day on July 2nd, Hogan canceled her contract. You're canceled. Janae revealed she was replaced immediately by other ambassadors on July 3rd who were, stay with me now, white. They got replaced by white women. It is what it is. Previous scandal involving racism. Okay, let's give your resume now, Hulk. Okay, according to a joint investigation by National Enquirer, Radar Online, Mr. Belia, 61, that's Hulk, caught on an unauthorized sex tape saying that he was a racist to a point. He followed the comment with an expletive and the N-word. Told you he likes to use that word. Publication said the transcripts of the tape had been filed in a Florida court in an attempt to seal his words from the public, but that the tape's contents had been confirmed. Several sources. I guess we're all a little racist, he is reported to have said on the tape while discussing his suspicions that his daughter Brooke had been intimate with, this had to kill him, a black man. He's big, he's over the hill, he's still playing that character, he's been disgraced, his wife left him. He's just, it's just a fool.
Yeah.
Okay? He's a fool, but I'll let you take it.
No, I mean, he's the Trump of wrestling, right? He's a washed up racist has-been, and he's desperately trying to be relevant. And there he is saying he's gonna body slam the president. This is someone who spoke at the RNC. I don't care who you are. I don't care if he's a wrestler. Like, you are a grown ass man, and you have not been in your prime for years now. Just imagine shoe on the other foot, Sharon. Yeah. Imagine if someone said, do you want me to body slam Donald Trump? They're already blaming Democrats for the assassination attempt on Donald Trump's life, which was done by a Republican. Like, what are you talking about? It's just apples to oranges here. The guy is trash. This is like, making fun of, Indian Americans and Native Americans. Like, oh, it's such a funny joke. But the guy's trash. Has said the N-word openly, as we saw there, firing a beautiful black model. Like, what are you doing, my guy? Like, you're so racist. You can't even have someone who's black, sell your disgusting beer. Does anyone want to drink Hulk Hogan's beer? For real. Like, I don't even want to see the foam in his nasty ass mustache. Like, that's what you know what it is? He drinks every single sip and then just sort of drips off of his stash into your can. That's what it is. That's what it is.
That's what it is. And it's sort of that smelly beer. If you like beer, you like beer. But I just picture like where he was at. Everyone's like sweaty. Their armpits are sweaty, and there's just like all this beer and nonsense, and they're drunk, and they're just like, I kiss you, baby. That kind of thing. Get out of here. Sit down, Hulk. Sit down. All right, this next one, I wish that these people would wonder if we told them that Jesus was a dark skinned man.
Was a Palestinian.
Jesus. Man of color. GOP leaders say religious freedom is not for non-Christians. Rules for me, not for thee. Georgia GOP District Chair Candice Taylor says that non-Christians are not entitled to religious freedom in America on her podcast, Jesus, Guns, and Babies.
Gross.
What in the red state hell, Candice?
You can take a gun, shoot somebody in the face. It's not hard. Sometimes it might even be fun if they're a godless commie.
Now, what they're trying to do is sneak the COVID vaccine in your salads.
I hate math. Somebody say amen.
The idea behind the whole document was that the church runs the state. The church and we, the people, we are the church. You and I, Eric, are the church. And so we run the state, but the state, the government, has no control over the church. And then everybody's like, oh, well, then you got to let Satanists come in, and you've got to let witches come in, and you've got to let Muslims and Hindu. No, no, we don't. No, we don't. Because America is founded on God Almighty.
No. Okay. I feel dumber for having heard that.
Oh, yeah.
But I had to, I don't know if I can get this back. Okay. We had to play it for you, though. Candice Taylor, GOP District Chair. She's a district chair in Georgia for the GOP. She has more to add, too. Should we go a little lower? All right, let's do it.
That is what we're founded on. And I don't have to honor your religion. I don't have to give you freedom of religion. Freedom of religion is there for us to worship Jesus. It's not for you to come force anything else upon me. And so we had that all wrong. And we've had tolerance. We've been politically correct. And at what point are we going to say, nope, we're not going to be? You can do whatever you want to in the comfort of your home. You can do whatever you want to, but don't come into my government and bring any of that trash in there. And we shouldn't be electing anyone in government, local, state, or federal, that is not a Christian.
The man she was talking to was uncomfortable, but he kept nodding in agreement. But I could tell he was uncomfortable. Like, what is she talking about? Well, he probably agreed with some of it. What she can do is mind her own damn business and take her own advice. That might be good. Anyway, a little background on Taylor. Taylor is flat Earth conspiracy theorist. I done told you they're not that bright, okay? Who unsuccessfully ran for governor of Georgia in 2022. Despite her paltry showing in the Republican primary, she steadfastly refused to accept that she had lost. 2023, Taylor became a Georgia GOP district chair, started voicing increasingly radical views, even going so far as to call for the public execution of those who oppose her Christian nationalist worldview. Right-Wing Watch is putting this out. We have to show you that these people exist. We must show you this. But I actually want to sign up for an online course at one of these universities. I've got to get my intelligence back after this one, okay? It won't take much, okay? But we really have to dumb it down when we consider people like this. What say you about Candace? Remember, she's the GOP district chair. This is one of their leaders, Georgia.
I mean, God, Georgia, it's such a battleground. Truly, we need to make sure it continues to be one. It is so scary to have someone like this out there, and yet, I think this is the belief of a lot of Christian nationalists and Republicans and the right more broadly. I think they all believe in religious liberty, but only for Christians, which is truly antithetical to the founding of this country. What I love about these folks is they claim to know what the founding fathers said or thought about religion, but they don't read the Constitution. They don't read nothing that the founding fathers wrote, which was all about the separation of church and state. It wasn't, oh yeah, it's separate because the church rules the state. No, you dum-dums. That's the entire reason the United States exists, is to get away from the monarchy and the religious fanaticism, right? The idea was to have a separation so the church does not control government. And the religious liberty part, sure, maybe the founding fathers might have been anti-Muslim. Who knows? I'm not saying they would all be like, super down with. Sure. Yeah. However, the idea was you don't have to be either, of course, then Catholic or Protestant, but also you don't have to be religious. You don't have to necessarily believe in God, right? Like, so it's about atheism also, even though many, I'm sure, again, not politically correct to be one, but that was the whole effing point. So it is just amazing that you hear these people say the quiet part out loud, because that's what they truly believe. They don't believe in liberty. They don't believe in freedom. Only liberty and freedom for Christian, white, and sorry to say for Taylor, men.
Yeah. By the way, Candace Taylor, you lost the election. Okay. In case no one in your own house will tell you, you lost the election. The producers around here, again, top shelf brand, they have enough work to do, but I am hoping they can cut up a special clip, that last little part, because you gave her a very concise lesson. I think it was only 30 seconds. That part where you wrote down why this America thing exists. And I would like to get it to her. I don't know if she'll open it, but I'd like to get her that clip, and maybe we can start the long journey back to, I don't know, maybe she never goes on the good side.
I mean, this is the whole thing with pilgrims. Like, they wanted to come here and be like, nah, we're a different kind of Christian. We want to go be different Christian over here. Because back then it was different versions of Christianity. It's the same thing.
Got that, Candace?
Got that anyway.
On a party line. Maybe we invite her as a guest. Don't tell her though what the show's about. Fran, tell people where they can see you.
You can see me on youtube.com/FrannyFio every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. You can also listen to the live Bituation Room podcast, which we recorded on Tuesday in Chicago. So fun. So everybody go download that wherever you get your podcasts.
We appreciate you. You are one of one, and I mean that in the best way. Okay, I think you're the funniest. You got people going to the show 2 nights in a row. He did. Hell yeah. He did on purpose. Hell yeah. Thank you for joining us. This is Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Ritchie. I'm Sharon Reed. Fran and I were filling in for Doc today. We appreciate you so much.